What's up, you little hamster wrangling scoliosis crab apple eaters? You guys ready? Huh? You ready to play a little bit of junk bump with daddy? You ready for some powdered sugar up in your butt? Ooh, diabetes. We got one of the oldest wiggers in the game coming in studio. We got a wonderful episode. We got some first-time callers talking about crotch touch, their first experience. And it's the Mother's Day aftermath. So, thank you for joining me. Welcome to This Past Weekend. This Past Weekend. You hear that? Beautiful music, huh? That is the Dragon Challenge by Epidemic Sound. Makes me feel like a queen has just passed by, you know, like, oh, Her Majesty, you know? Like a beautiful queen has just gone by on a boat, like a nice boat made out of pearl or something like that, or something that looks like pearl that would float, you know? Oh, there's the queen. There's the queen. I say that because Mother's Day has come and gone, and everybody's, hopefully gotten to spend some time with their mother, talked to them, had a nice conversation, or listen to them. I find as I get older, it's about just listening to my mother. You know, I just want to make sure that she's okay, and that she's trying, she's not worrying. I think those are things that start to help me the most. I spoke to my mother today. I sent her some flowers, actually, from Bloom That. You might have heard that we'd been advertising for them. I sent some flowers to her from there, and she has a husband who has Alzheimer's, and so he don't do much. He was in the war. He was in maybe a couple wars. I think maybe I want to say possibly the Korean War. He's got some issues with some Asians. I do know that. Doesn't make him a bad person. They had issues with him as well, I'm sure, during the war. So, but he don't do much. He likes to put on mittens or gloves, and he likes to take them off. So that's one of his hobbies these days. A couple times he would break out of the house and go get himself a little can of liquor or can of beer. And he would have that somewhere being sneaky, and my mother would have to go find him. So that's kind of what he's up to, and he have Alzheimer's. So it was nice to speak to my mother and just make sure she was okay. She had she enjoyed her flowers, and the flowers came with some caramels, different, fancy brown candies, but nice ones that melt in your mouth and make you feel, make your whole mouth feel kind of almost naughty a little bit, salty and sweet and kind of just nasty a little, but also good and beautiful. So she enjoyed those, I'm pretty sure. And we had a nice time, man. I'm at the age now where it's not about holding any grudges against my mother. It's about finding solutions if I do have issues. We're more and more a little bit able to talk about things. And it's just about kind of just letting her know that I love her, I feel like when I think about it, and I'm sorry, welcome to This Past Weekend, man. I'm just talking out of the blue, I hear, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I hope your Mother's Days were beautiful. I hope I saw a lot of pictures on Instagram of people's mothers. I liked as many as I could. And it was, but I spoke to my mom and I just want her to be happy. That's all I want. When I was young, I thought I was a daddy's boy, or a dad's boy, whatever it's called. I can't remember. Daddy's boy sounds almost like, somebody that's being hired as like a male escort or something, maybe out in Scottsdale or in Palm Springs. So I'm not that. I just thought my dad wasn't around, so I thought I was I just wanted to be that. you know, because when you're young, you want to be whatever you're not, kind of. You know, you want to be the you want to raise hell. You want to cause ruckus. So I thought I was a daddy's boy. But I wasn't, man. As I get older, I realize that I'm just, I just want my mother to be happy. And I just, I'm like my mother in a lot of ways. Some good and some bad. But I'm more of a mama's boy. And it took me a long time to realize that. But I'm realizing it now. But yeah, it's at a certain point you can't hold grudges anymore. If I'm still holding grudges against my mother, I'm 37 years old, and something's wrong, then it's my issue. It's not our issue anymore. It's my issue. So I have to figure out what's going on. If I am, come to terms with it and get out of it, because life is short, and our lives are short, and I just want my mother to be happy. When I think about it. We had a little bit of a tough spell over growing up, and I was pretty blessed, man. I found a bunch of different mothers that took me into their families and into their homes, and made me feel like a regular kid, and loved me and helped me out as much as possible. I got emancipated at 14, and I spent time living with friends and families, and I've just been eternally, when I really think about it, blessed by the grace that people showed me. I mean, I have been shown more joy more grace, and more I've been helped. So it's amazing to me that a mother, that they can extend beyond their own children when they have a lot of those qualities. And it's pretty fascinating. But these days, I talk to my mother, and I just want her to be happy, and sometimes she just talks, and I don't know what she's talking about. I just try to listen and be a quiet listener, try to be supportive. But she got some tulips. That's what I sent, and I hope she enjoyed them. I'm going to jump off that conversation right now. Or actually, I guess when I think about my mother even more, I didn't always treat my mother very good. That's one thing I realize as I get older. I wasn't a good son. I have some responsibilities as a son. I've talked about this before, but, I rejected my mother a lot of times. I wasn't like a proud son a lot of times. I was just uncomfortable, and I was just selfish. And I know I was a child, and you have a right to be selfish as a child because you have to have your needs met when you're a young child. But as you get older, you can just be being selfish. If all you're concerned about is getting your needs met, then at a certain point there's a lot of selfishness there, and I was that a lot of times, and I rejected my mother, because we didn't have any money sometimes, and I rejected her maybe because she didn't. My mother was a hard worker, still is, and she didn't take care of herself that much, or she didn't care about beauty. She didn't care about looking fancy or putting on makeup or anything, but that made me feel, like she just didn't care about putting on airs for anyone. She was a very real woman. And at the time when I was young, I guess I wanted her to put on airs. I wanted, that idea of a mom that you see, like on the televisions, on Leave It to Beavers and stuff like that, different shows, regular shows, Roseanne, but more of a thin Roseanne. So, I rejected my mother a lot, and I feel bad about some of those things. But I'm old, but now one of the blessings I still have my mom is that I'm able to discuss those things with her and get into them. And, it's never too late to apologize. It doesn't have to be a special phone call that you make to your mom. It doesn't have to be on Mother's Day. It can be on any Monday like today. If you got something to say, just get it out of your heart and get it out of your soul and get it into your mother's ears, There's no place better for a son's concerns, I don't think, than their mother's ears. Even if she's not going to give you the response you want, I think there's just something about a son or a daughter saying something to their mother, and just putting it on them that is innately comforting to us. And I put a lot of pressure on my mom growing up. It was just her. And when you're a child like that, and it's just your mother, you naturally look to your mother for whatever your father's supposed to give you as well. And so it can give you it can put ridiculous, unachievable desires and expectations on your mother, because you are looking for a complete circle of parenting, and there's no way your mother can give it all to you, because she can't be a man. She can't be, two parents. So there's all. So I have a lot of, I'll probably have some resentments or some amends to make in that category too. Once I figure out what expectations I put on my mother that I probably was supposed to put on a father, but they weren't there, because that's not my mother's responsibility. That's my father's responsibility, who wasn't around. But anyway, I'm not trying to bring everybody down. I started shit off bad. What the fuck, Theo? I don't know, man. We got a good episode, dude. I got the oldest wigger in the game coming in, Mr. Raja Rod. I've been a fan of this man for a long time, and I've seen him here and there, and you guys are going to be excited. We got some great calls that came in from some listeners. I want to do a special episode this week, I think, hopefully, just about, I think it's going to be about manhood and what that means. We've had a lot of calls about it, and thank you so much for calling and hitting the hotline. That number is 985-664-9503. We got people calling in about the first time they touched some crotch and sharing those experiences. And I know it's a weird thing on a Mother's After Day special to get into that, but we're going to get into that. Some of those crotch calls and take some crotch callers. So, wanna be a baller, crotch caller. So I was fascinated by that. I think because crotch and touching crotch when you're young, it is like a dam. It's like somebody just, it's like the first time you ever see one of those babies that could hear for the first time on those videos. It's like, this magic baby, they put headphones on this magic baby, and baby could see for the first time. Baby gets retinas repaired for the first time. When I see that, that's what it is like. For a man, it is anyway. The first time you down there touching some, we'll say cooter, to keep things comfortable here on this Mother's Day special. We'll say cooter. The first time you're seeing some cooter, you really are touching some. It's like that first time. It's just like one of those videos on Facebook where, dog hears its owner. Dog hears its owner for the first time. Dog sees its cousin for the first time. It's like one of those, it's one of those, man. It's that magical moment where it's like this area that you can, and there's so much heat. That's what I remember about that crotch heat, bro. It was, it was like somebody had just put a furnace inside of, a woman's pants. It was just like, you ever get those mitten packets that keep your hands warm if you do skiing or you do outdoor work in the Kodiak or in the cold weather, or if your freezer doesn't have a door, your refrigerator doesn't have a door, and your kitchen gets really cold because you don't have ways to close them up, and you have to use those freezer packets, And I'm sure that's probably erroneous. A lot of people don't have that. I had a friend who didn't have any freezer door or refrigerator door. Someone had stolen the doors to their appliance, many of their appliances actually, and so the cold would always be coming out, and so they'd have to wear extra shirts and stuff. But you have this, they have these hand warmers you can get, and man, it was like the first time you put your hand down by a girl's crotch. That's kind of what occurred, I felt like. But we're going to get into some of those calls, and we're going to get to our guest. We're going to get to it. I'm going to tell you what else this past weekend. Not much, man. To be honest with you, I probably had 16 comedy sets at the different clubs. I hung out with Howie Mandel for a little bit, and it was nice, actually. Howie's always been really nice to me. He's a charming man. And we had a good time. I got to see him and his wife. She's a lovely lady. We had a nice time, man. Howie's funny, and he's got a great heart. If you ever see celebrities on TV and you don't know what some of them are like, that's fine. But you can know this about Howie Mandel. He may seem bizarre. and maybe his humor is for you or isn't for you. That's not to be judged. I mean, you can judge it. That's fine, but don't doubt that he's a nice man. He's a very nice man. He's just a good guy. What else happened, dude? I felt better. I appreciate it. I got a lot of calls from people this week, seeing how I was feeling, and I feel a little bit better. Some of that was just being off the road and being able to be at home and enjoy my environment, man. My plants were dying. I got 2 plants, and they were dying, and so it was just felt a little bit better. I took a walk today. So I'm going to drop these dates on you guys right now, and then we're going to get into our guest. He's going to be here in studio, and then we're going to get some calls, man. These are some of my favorite calls. I'm really, really excited about this. Next weekend, the 25th through 28th, I'll be at Tampa at the Side Splitters Comedy Club. And then I'll be in Pittsburgh June 1st through June 4th. Okay? And then I will be at Gotham in New York City, June 23rd through June 24th in New York City, New York. They call it the same thing to piss you off right there. And then I'm in Wyoming, Illinois, and that's about an hour from the Quad Cities in Iowa. It's a small town at the Paramount Theater, and those tickets are available on theovon.com. I also have a new album that came out. It's of my early stuff. Now, if you picked up an album at my show, it might be the same material. So I'm just letting you know that if you want to check the material before you purchase it. But it's Musket Fire, The Early Years of Satire, and that's available now on iTunes. It's a lot of the stuff from the Netflix special. So it's not material that is similar. It's not the same material from the Netflix special, but it's similar material. And it's on sale now. Then I'll be, where else? I'll be at the Improv in Orlando. I think we moved those dates to July 13th through 16th. Also, you can grab 30-pound bag of hamster bones, which is still on sale. And theovon.com/store is where you can get most things, T-shirts as well. All right, we got a guest in. I'm excited for him. It's late here, guys. Honestly, it's 1 a.m. here on Pacific Standard coastal time. This past weekend. All right, happy to have him here today, man. Thank you so much for joining me. What I want to say, one of the realest and oldest wiggas in the game, Mr. Roger Rod. So, Roger, I got to ask, are you black or white?
I would have to say I'm white on the outside and multicolored inside.
Okay. Multicolored. And what colors are we going to see in there if we were to crack you open?
It'd crack me open. I probably bleed red, but a lot of me still identifies with black a lot. I do. I don't think I'm black. I don't try to act black, but I very much appreciate that culture. There's parts of it I don't like, but the major portion of it, what I love most about it, is the indomitable spirit. They refuse to be unhappy no matter how many times or ways they get fucked culturally. They always see the upside.
You know, it's interesting because I sometimes feel like, sometimes I'm like, do black people even feel bad? Like, do they even feel sad, you know? Like, because black people are always pretty upbeat or level. And sometimes and maybe I've mistooken it as that black people do they not have those feelings?
I would say, without even knowing what the statistics are, I bet if you looked at them, they've probably got the lowest suicide rate. I have to think so. They always find a reason to keep trying, keep fighting, something to be happy about.
Wow.
Something to see an upside with. Most positive culture. I remember when I first started playing black clubs, it was at a really low point in my life. I'd gone through a bad romance. I was more poverty-stricken than I'd ever been. My career didn't seem to be going anywhere, and I'm playing in black clubs. And I'm in these really low income neighborhoods, and I'm being as kind as I can, and seeing comics that I knew were living in cars and living in very poor conditions, and they would get on stage and say something like, I woke up today, the sun hit my face, it's a beautiful thing to be alive. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? That if this guy can see life that way, where did I go wrong? What's so bad about my life?
Wow.
Real positivity.
Yeah.
And you play football with them, and you really get it. They're your brothers. And the other thing I noticed on the football scene is that You would get on these 14-hour bus drives we sometimes had to take, and the white guys would all be sitting around bored, shitless, maybe reading a book, but most of the time just staring at the front seat. And the blacks are in back playing dominoes and playing spades and cards, yucking it up, laughing it up, high-fiving. They always were fucking having more fun than we were, and I started hanging around with them.
Yeah. Yeah, why do black people have more fun than white people? Because like the most fun sometimes white people, it seemed like white people would be like, like, ooh, like I'm having a good time, but like black people will really, like, if they're having a good time.
And they usually are. They can get a big kick out of a very small thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's really funny culturally is some of the times something that you and I would say to each other if we were just kind of exchanging insults in a friendly way, that it wouldn't be anything particularly funny, but it's something their culture's never heard. And like I called this guy, you snot-nosed little bitch, and that just killed him. You snot-nosed little bitch. Just they'd never heard a man call another man a snot-nosed little bitch. and it's not, but now some of the names that they come up with that you and I never heard, you roll on the floor. It's where the fuck did you put that combination of words together?
Why is it that I feel like a lot of the younger black comics now couldn't make it in a black room?
Younger black comics, you mean such as the ones you see in a mainstream club?
Yeah.
Because they've geared their act towards a white audience. They've geared their act to cross over to a white audience and done material that is very different from the culture that they come from most of the time. Or they're suburb blacks that are more comfortable in the white culture because they're not familiar with the hood.
Right.
That's often the case as well. A suburb black has almost as much disconnect to the black culture as you and I do.
Why is it hard even I grew up in like a white hood, it was, we shared, we're right next to the poor black neighborhood was the poor white neighborhood. We all rode the same school buses together. Why is it that it's hard to let go of the hood for people? Do you feel like even if they transcend class or environment, why does like the hood like stick to you? Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I surely do, and it is a phenomenon that's very difficult for us to understand. It's something that I think there's a part of it that they like the idea that this is something I rose up from, and the friends that I have left behind are now my entourage and my fan club and the people that I know that I can trust to have the most connection towards. Like Biggie, when he was at his apex, a lot of times he said he found himself daydreaming about what was going on in the hood. And here's a guy living in penthouse, private jet level wealth. And he was wondering, what are the homies doing on the streets? Yeah. And that's just something that is a very difficult thing to disconnect from.
Yeah, and I guess because maybe life's so real out there. Like, I felt like even in our neighborhood, life was very real for us because we all spent time together outdoors, like there wasn't anything going on indoors except like fighting, the air, we couldn't run the air conditioner. So it was like, it wasn't even comfortable to be indoors. So everybody was outdoors, and that's where, you just got acclimated in your environment. You were really in your environment.
Right.
You didn't just meet up for like play dates like kids do now and stuff like that.
Play dates.
We spent our lives outdoors.
Absolutely. That's one thing you don't see that much of anymore, particularly in white culture. Could you imagine probably in the home you grew up in that on a nice, bright, sunshiny day, you're sitting on the couch playing with your Xbox? My mom and dad would have said, get the fuck outside and go play. Yeah. You're not sitting around on that thing all day.
Yeah. It would have been, or given us a set amount of time, but then it's time to go.
Then it's time to go, exactly.
Yeah, you guys need to get outside. And didn't even really keep tabs. I think now everybody's just scared of like kidnappers, like I was talking about, and pedophiles of attacking children, and stuff like that. But to not even enjoy years of playing outside because of maybe one pedophile, that seems intense to me, And
it really is a sad thing that we have come to that, such as now we're living in a culture that has swung once again with that pendulum too far in one direction, where you'll see a parent smack their kid in the ass in a grocery market, and then 15 minutes later, Child Protective Services is at their front door, and they're child abusers. That was not part of our lives growing up.
No.
And the kind of thing about walking to and from school at the age of, say, 6 years old. A 6-year-old kid walking to and from school by himself right now, the police are going to show up.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to harass the parents. That's some kind of child endangerment. Christ, we did it all the time. That was just part of it.
Now, I notice sometimes my tone of voice will change when I'm around black people, if I'm around certain black people. Some black people it won't. And maybe that's just nature of just acclimating to an environment. What do you think about that? Because I know this happens a lot with white people and black people.
As long as it's not overdone, it's something that I look at it that I get a little jargony. Because when I'm around Latinos, I speak a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah, I'll even pull on a Latino accent, a Mexican accent, or a Spanish accent.
When I'm around, when anyone that you're around, if you're around a bunch of blue bloods, you're going to change your whole style.
Yeah.
All you have to really do to change your entire personality is put on a fucking suit sometime and walk out the door and immediately have a different attitude.
Yeah.
And a whole different demeanor about you.
Yeah, you feel like shit, dude. I might have a job.
Yeah. We're all things to all people. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you don't overdo it.
Yeah. That's the urban update right there, from the white side.
From the white guy, yes.
The bridge to Terra, the bridge to Blackabethia. That's kind of what you are a little bit for us, man. Because you've been out there. You're learning, man.
Learning is the best way to put it. Part of the culture, absolutely not. I always say the same thing to the newer white comics when they come into the club. This is what you need to remember. Act like you're a guest in somebody's home because you are. Because when these black comics go to the mainstream clubs, they get treated like shit. So don't act like you have some entitlement to be on the stage. Act like you're a guest in someone's home.
It's interesting. I think that's a great thing to remember for almost no matter where we are, But especially, culturally, we still have to remember that there's, even though we're all Americans, that there's a lot of cultural differences,
Gigantic and all. And to say the other thing is that when people say the term that we're all racist, I don't believe in that because, again, I've said for the umpteenth time, there's one race, the human race.
Yeah.
But I think we all are guilty of prejudice, those of us that are going to be honest. Prejudice, the root of which is prejudge. We all see somebody of a different culture and prejudge them in some way or another, consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah.
For example, you're on a plane, somebody walks in with a turban. What do you think?
A turban of what?
Meaning that they walk in with a burqa. They walk in with a scarf.
Headpiece.
Yeah, you walk in with something.
I don't know what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but you see somebody that's clearly from the Middle East. What's the first thing you're thinking?
Oh, yeah, they're probably hiding jewels or something.
They got a bomb, or this guy is Haji that's going to hijack the plane with a razor blade, or who knows what. But you're not thinking, and I certainly have prejudgings towards people that aren't necessarily non-white skin. I prejudge the Russian culture quite a bit. I do that now.
Oh, yeah, I do everyone. I stereotype everyone for sure. I stereotype. I'm a stereotypist. I mean, I'd be a stenographer. I mean, I do. And some of the stereotypes are good and accurate because it gives you healthy ways to approach people. But yeah, when I guess going to a place of judgment sometimes can be, it can be dangerous because you might not get, you might not get the full opportunity out of an opportunity.
What it does is it'll make you a better person. Just like I think we've discussed I won't say anything out of school, but we're at least both familiar with 12-step groups.
Yeah.
And the first chance anybody has to ever beat an addiction is they must be able to look to a crowd and say, "Hi, my name is blank. I am an alcoholic."
Yeah.
And once you recognize, "Hi, my name is Roger, and I have prejudice towards other people," and that's your first chance to give yourself at least a fighting opportunity to overcome it and recognize when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I can think of is I had a Corvette back because it was in 98. I had a Corvette that literally caught fire with me inside of it in a pouring down rainstorm. I barely got to the freeway exit, barely got out of the car alive with the thing almost in bursting flames. And it was pouring down rain. It was in the middle of Oakland. I ran 2 blocks, and I looked like a wet-soaked rat into this liquor store. I didn't have a dime in my pocket. Everything was still in the car. And 2 Middle Eastern guys that I would have been writing jokes about treated me like I was a Here, have a cup of coffee. Use our phone blanket. Don't worry, my friend. You can always buy another car. You're here. It's life. And I felt like a piece of shit because of the way I often speak about that culture.
Wow.
So, we all have to keep our minds open and recognize, I've got this in me.
Because you never know when you're going to need someone of another culture. You never know when you're going to need anyone else.
You never know when you're going to need to have a better opinion of yourself.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Well, that's it, Roger Rod. I appreciate you coming in. And people can find you if they want to support the tour, Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter Comedy Tour.
Mm-hmm. Blue Lives Matter Comedy Tour.
Yes, and that's .com. And at Roger Rod on Twitter, And on Instagram and Facebook, same thing. And
ROGERRODD.
ROGERRODD, all one word.
Yeah. So you guys check him out. The oldest wigger in the game here with us today, and one of my favorite comedians to watch, man. Dude, I appreciate what you do, man, as I really do feel like, you're helping people realize that that we can learn, man,
Well, as much as I appreciate you for having me on the show, you're a very accomplished, certainly a lot further along in this game than I am. And for you to have brought me on board is a big honor. Thank you very
I hope
much
I'm
for
able to
having
sit
me.
there one day and be able to rehash so many good stories and have such a good attitude about my career and just about myself and about what's going on, and to be able to inspire other people to to think. They don't have to think differently, but at least inspire them to start by thinking.
I think you do that already.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, we'll be right back. We're gonna get some. Of you guys' questions. We got some great ones on this Mother's Day episode this past weekend. All right, let's get to some callers, guys. I'm so thankful for the calls. Just the questions. I'm gonna try to do another episode this week for Wednesday or Thursday. It's just a lot, but I'm gonna try. And it's just a lot because I got to pay somebody to edit it, and I got to just to piece it together. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. Got to rent studio if I need the studio. So there's just a lot of little things that go into it, but I'm overwhelmed with the amount of calls and questions and inquiries I just want to say you're welcome. A lot of people have said thank you. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I feel like I'm kind of a conduit of just trying to make an effort, I think a lot of my life I feel like I don't know if I felt like I haven't been a good person, but I feel like I've just thought about myself. And, I don't want to be that way always. Sometimes selfishness is it's a disease a little bit, because sometimes you're selfish. I think I was selfish growing up because I was just worried that if I didn't think about myself, that nobody was going to be. And I may have said this before, but it's just kind of resonating with me right now. Like, I think I was selfish because I was worried. I was afraid, like, if I don't think about me, then nobody is going to be thinking about me in the world. And when you're a kid, that's the scariest thing in the world. To think that no one's going to be thinking about you. That just, I don't know anything more hurtful to a child probably than to feel that no one is going to be thinking about them, that they're unthought of. And so I think I definitely developed some selfishness there as a child. I was just worried that if I wasn't thinking about me, that no one was. And then you get addicted to that. You just get used to it. It becomes a habit. I have to think about me, as a child. But then as an adult, you're just still stranded with this habit that's not serving you anymore. And to get out of that, I have to do things for other people. And I'm still learning that. And I got to try harder. But it is nice to know that some of you guys think that this podcast is helping to do that, because it makes me feel a little less selfish, or it makes me feel like I'm battling that leftover bad habit of just being self-serving. And especially I live in a self-serving city. I have a self-serving job. I feel like people say my job brings laughter to people, but it's hard not to feel like that it's just for me sometimes, or I don't know. But I love you and I appreciate the calls, and I'm grateful, man. There's so many nice messages and stuff. I wish I could play every one for you, and I'm gonna try to slowly incorporate them. I save them all, so when they'll fit in, they'll fit in. But let's get to some calls. We do have some female listeners out there, and they're growing. Our female listener population is growing, and I'm excited about that. And we had some callers call in about the first time they touched a little bit of crotch. And when you touch crotch as a child, it's like, I mean, I can't, it's like, it's just like you ever have like a friend, you ever see those mitten packets that keep your hands warm? It's like a special packet that you buy that you put into a mitten, or if you have a bag or something, you want to put your hands in a bag, but it's cold in the bag. They got these little heat warmer packets that you can break kind of or bend, and it cracks something inside of them, and it makes heat, free heat, small amount of heat. And people put those in their mittens or their socks or whatever, and those things warm. It's this intense warm. It's almost like this atomic little slice of rock. Well, that's what it's like for a boy. I felt like the first time you get near that crotch area on a female, the first time you get your hand up near that little female water spout, you just, that flat water spout, really, I should say, you're fired up. I mean, because that's just, it's the first time, you came out of a vagina as a child, and then as a teenager, or whenever you get to touch some crotch, it's the first time you get back there. So you've really just been wandering around for a long time away from your shuttle bus, the shuttle bus that brought you into existence, the female crotch. And this is almost oddly kind of fitting for Mother's Day, because we all came out of a mother, most of us anyway, unless somebody made you somewhere. But let's get to the call right now. We got Robin in Atlanta calling us, and you are on the line, Robin.
Ooh, I'm nervous. Theo Vaughn. My name's Robin. I'm from Atlanta.
Ooh, she got a nice voice, huh? You like that? They used to have these phone sex lines. They might have them where you could call up at night and spend a bunch of your parents' money and listen to people talk about dirtiness on the air. And does she have a nice voice like those ladies? Orator. Onward.
And I want to comment on about everything that you say, but I wanted to comment specifically about the crotch touching. My first experience with having my crotch touched was...
Is this not exciting to everybody all of a sudden? I'm just like, wow, this is exciting, dude, because I want to know what girls thinking. Onward.
Touched was in the 6th grade.
Ooh, naughty Robin Young. Okay, sorry for interrupting a bunch. Let's go on.
In the 6th grade, in my parents' backyard, in a refrigerator box with my boyfriend.
Wow, refrigerator box. Well, this is already awesome. Let me just say this is already awesome. I will never... next time I see some kids making a space shuttle out of one of those boxes, I'll never second guess that maybe they're up to more than that. That's for sure. Onward.
And I wasn't concerned about it being bad or nasty. It seemed pretty natural. But I was concerned because I knew his hands were dirty and that they might be salty, and that...
Salty hands? Yeah, that's a concern. It is a concern. It's your concern, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. This is an intimate story. But yeah, I guess you could worry if they got salt, something gets up there. You don't want a bunch of, you don't want things to start to purl inside of your vagina, and I don't know if that can occur or not. But yeah, I guess if you get a little bit of salt in there, it could start to purl up over by the time you're about, that's probably about 12th grade. I think it takes about 6 years for something to pearlize. Anyway, onward.
That concerned me a little bit, but it didn't end up stinging or anything. It did make me feel funny for about a week. Just funny mentally. I felt like I had crossed some threshold. And there's a question for you. What's the definition of fingering?
Huh. Wow. So, first of all, it made her feel funny for like a week, she said. That's interesting. I do remember feeling like I'd crossed some sort of threshold, because all you have is a million mental images and ideas and GIFs, I guess, or GIFs, those little like video images that they have now. But back in the time, we used to call them memories. It was like or ideas. It was like a quick idea you had in your head of something. And those are kind of like the GIFs that we have now, I feel like. you'd have like this quick idea of maybe what a crotch was like or what, you know, but the fact that it was salty but then once you found out what a crotch was like, I lost my train of thought. Once you found out what a crotch was like, you knew. You had this knowledge then. You had this, you know, you'd opened up this universe, you know, it's like you'd gotten like a special warp zone or a special sword on Zelda or something. Anyway, let's go back to Robin's call. Thank you for the call, Robin.
Fingering. Is fingering when you put your finger in the vagina, is that technically the definition? Is that also third base? Or is fingering just touching and feeling around on the vagina?
You know, I think fingering is yes, you got to go fingers in. You know, you got to be checking levels there. You got to be Mark Twaining. For anybody that knows anything about sea depth or river depth, you got to be, you know, really digiting, getting a little bit of a stenographer's practice, if you will. Yeah, I think it's got to be fingers in. And does it have to be one finger or two fingers? I guess it just has to be one. You know, two fingers is always crazy too. Like, I remember there were times, you know, personally, I'd put two fingers in a woman's vagina and be like, is this okay or am I being crazy? Like, am I a crazy guy? You know, but I do remember, Robin, that was a thing for guys. It was like, how many fingers, bro? It was like if you touch, it wasn't enough then that you had touched a vagina or that you had put a finger into a local vagina. It was that you then had to do more fingers. It was, oh, well, what about, she could take 3 fingers. Like, it became this weird, you know, other thing, this bigger thing then. It was just, it's like everything. It's like once it happens, something happens, more has to happen. You know, you need a bigger fix. But I feel like, yeah, that's third base was fingering. And then as you grow more adult, you realize that there's more action there's more action for the female outside of the vagina. You know, inside, you're basically just looking for something that's outside. You know, it's like whenever you bring your keys out to the car and you leave, and you have them in there, but you don't realize you have them in there and you think you left them inside, then you go back inside looking for your keys. It's just like that. It's like you go back and it's like you're inside a woman feeling around trying to get her that pleasure, but really the pleasure's already outside. You passed the pleasure. You had the pleasure. You just didn't realize you had it. So that's either a great analogy or a horrible analogy. I can't even tell. It's 1:30 in the morning. But let's listen to the rest of Robin's question or call.
And is that considered third base? What's your opinion about it? Love your show. I don't think you need any guests. I really like to listen to you ramble on whatever state you're in. You are a great philosopher, and you know, dude, sometimes really funny people are just dark.
I hope she doesn't mean black. She could be a Mike Epps fan. I am a Mike Epps fan. I will say that. I appreciate the nice words, Robin. You know, I don't know. I mean, I appreciate you saying I'm really funny. I appreciate all the nice things you said. I appreciate your call. It was a cool call. Very real. You know, you shared some real thoughts there. Yeah, I don't know if comedians are just dark. People ask me that a lot. Are you just dark? I don't know. I don't know if comedians are that way. But I do know that I have some type of affliction in me where I get depressed, you know, and I battle it much better these days. You know, like this week I did make some choices. I went out. I didn't want to go to yoga, and I went. And I didn't want to go to the gym, and I went. And it made me feel better. Whereas there were times before, and I'd be like, I'm just going to lay down. I'm just going to rest. I'm just going to sleep it off. And maybe I would take some naps, but I would just set my alarm, and I'd get back up, and I made some better choices. And it was hard. It was hard. There were times where I did not want to make that choice. But yeah, I think back to your question, Robin, or back to your inquiry, it's third base. That's touch and crotch. But the weird thing is for guys, it's just the third base only goes one way. It's not like it doesn't matter what the girl does to you. You know, the third base just only goes one way. And I remember, and I'll tell you, the first time the first time that I touched a gal's crotch, my buddy and I had a sleepover over here out in north, like Franklinton, Louisiana. I mean, small town. I don't even know where it was. It's really just a bunch of people that are lost, and there's so many of them that they called it a town. Like, it's that rural. And we were out there on a double date, and some gal had a trailer out there, and her mother or stepmother, I don't know if she had a mother or father, but she might have had a stepmother, was out of town. Somebody was out of town. And we were over there, and everybody was touching crotch, you know? And the girl I was with, though, was doing, she had menstrual activities going on, so I couldn't be a part of it. I could just be the outside, just around her legs and crotch, just touching that heat. But even that was huge, just even feeling on that area of a body and realizing that there was no cock right there, you know? Because I was just used to my own area, where if I put my hands between my legs, cock. I find cock right there. But if it's a girl, no cock. And that alone was a big enough change. I mean, I was just erect as a just as a bird beak. I was hard as a damn cement bird beak. And that was exciting. I remember that. And then I remember we went to a dance. I think I've told this story before, and this is a little profane, but I'm going to be real. Robin called in, and she was real. And we'd had a school dance, and a buddy of mine had touched some crotch. He'd finally, gotten a third base. He was damn Ricky Henderson that night. And he slid in a third base, and the gal left, and we were all fired up, and because one of us had finally gotten, he was damn Neil Armstrong to us. One of us had finally gotten to the moon, And so he's got his, he's out there, he's got his fingers out, and my buddy's dad came out. We're sitting around the fire, and me, being an instigator, I told my buddy's dad what had happened. I just wanted everybody to be a part of what was going on. And my buddy's dad started smelling my buddy's fingers. We're in 7th or 8th grade, no older. And my buddy's dad just started smelling my buddy's fingers over and over again. And that was pretty baffling. And he really kind of smelled them all up. Like, I remember at a certain point later, we tried to smell them, and there was no smell left on them. And I know that's dirty, and I know that's profane, but we are, we're animals in a lot of ways. We are fancy, fancy animals. And I don't really believe that, I don't think. But I do believe that, we have some of the same likenesses as animals. And so that's why we wanted to smell. It's just one of the things. You want to get that scent. You want to know what's going on. You're so curious. You're so curious. But then later, I remember sleeping at my buddy's house, and I looked out the window, and his dad was out there still by that fire, and his dad was masturbating out into that fire. So that was pretty intense. But onward, let's take another call here. And we got another call. This man calling in with some crotch from Texas.
Hey, Theo, it's Michael from Patterson, California. If you don't know where that is, it's centrally located.
Okay, not Texas. Onward.
In the state. But anyway, I was calling in to tell you about my first time I touched a lady part. I was 18. I guess that's a late bloomer, you could say, but
I don't know if it's a late bloomer. It isn't. It's when you bloom, brother. I'm still late blooming on stuff. I can barely use a calculator. So onward.
Anyway, it was this girl I knew from high school. She was a year younger than me, and we went to a party one night, not together. She was there, and well,
dude, I miss high school parties, dude. Dude, if I could go back to high school now, and obviously not be an adult because I don't want to be some kind of pedophile, but be like a high school kid, it was so easy to hook up with chicks. You just had no idea. That was the problem. You had no idea. You just couldn't see that the look in most girls' eyes was that they were curious. We were just so scared as young boys, I felt like. Anyway, onward.
Long story short, I left the party a little early. Well, after dropping my buddy off, I was on my way back to my parents' house, almost there, and I get a text message And she says, "Why'd you leave so early? I was looking forward to hanging out with you." Well, I don't really remember. This was over 10 years ago, so I don't really remember what we said, but she
So she wanted you to come back to the party. Okay, onward.
parked out by the road. This was out in the country, out in the boonies, and she met me out by the road, and well, one thing led to another. I popped down the tailgate to my 94 Chevy Silverado.
Oh, God, this is beautiful, dude. Onward.
Put her on the back and started making out. And I went for it.
I can't get too fired up because they're only 18. You know, I guess they're legal. I can listen. Go on.
Without getting too graphic, I mean, I unbuttoned her pants, zipped them down, didn't take her pants all the way off.
Yeah, you don't take her pants all the way off if you're going to finger her, bro, because that's creepy as fuck, dude. Okay? If you're the kind, that's like the dude who pulls his pants all the way down in the bathroom to urinate. You ever seen that boy when you were growing up? They had always some creepy fucking pale-ass kid or some big black kid would have their pants all the way down to their feet, and they're just peeing? What the fuck? Anyway, let's hear more.
But I put my hand down there and slipped a finger in her, and the first thing...
Ooh, slipped a finger in her. You heard him? Ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Onward.
The first time slipping a finger in a girl, first thing I thought was, God damn, this is the wettest thing. I wasn't expecting it to be so wet. I mean, it was like a slip and slide. I couldn't believe how wet it was. I mean, that was the only thing that was going through my mind the whole time.
Damn, bro. I'm just... Wow, you must have grown up in a really dry county then. Or anyway, onward, dude. That humidity, bruh. Ah!
But anyway, so
I'm gonna say it was damp, bro. I remember being like, whoa, this thing has had its thirst quenched. I do remember that, just being shocked, like, what is going on? They're hiding water around here, you know? Yeah, I do remember that, dude. I do remember that. And you still catch it occasionally with some older gals, but some of them now, it's like, some of it's like kind of shuffling a little bit of a deck of cards there on the outside and get a little, what do I want to say? You can get a little velvety on the outside. Anyway, onward.
I mean, the first time you did it, were you surprised about how wet it was? I mean, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. But
damn, unbelievable. You know what? I think I was, man. I think I was, you know. I think I was just... I remembered as being so erect, I thought I was going to faint. Like, so much... Because I have, like, a wide penis, and so much blood ran to my penis that I always get a little bit faint whenever I get really erect. So that's, like, an issue that I've had. Kind of like one of those... you ever see those goats that faint when they get scared? Kind of like that. I feel like I'm kind of like that sometimes with sex. Onward.
But, anyway, that ended up leading to my first blowjob. Same gal, but that's a different story for another time. But anyway, and one last thing, one thing I didn't like heading back home was, some people call it stink finger. My fingers didn't really smell. And I was kind of bummed out. That was the only thing I was bummed out about. They didn't smell, and to be honest, I wanted to smell my fingers and go home and jerk off, but...
Damn, bro. You know what? I gotta say this, man. Thank you for calling. You know? Because you know what? People could say, oh, that's gross, that's nasty. You could say anything you want about this fella's call right here. But the truth is that this is what a lot of guys thought. These are thoughts that a lot of guys have. And Robin's call was unique because it was something that girls have. It's that side of the story from them. I don't get that side of the story. I don't know. Fascinated by both of these calls. Fascinated by the nostalgia of this second call. And let me get his name again right here so I don't forget.
Hey, Theo, it's Michael from Patterson, California.
Michael. Yeah, Michael. Just fascinating because, you gotta, I think that's called like a golden warlord or something if you don't get a scent on your finger from a woman, or a woman that doesn't have a scent in her crotch. It's called like a golden warlord, or like I don't know what it's called, just like a damn, it's definitely, that's more bottled water than, sometimes you get the gals a little tap, you get more tap water out of them, but that's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful story, and it just, I just love the fact that you pulled her pants down, dude. That's fucking what? Crazy, bro. Love it. Michael, you're my hero this week, dude. You just reminded me of what, of a time in my life, of being just around that cooter and just being unaware of what another person's crotch was like, and just having just uncertainty and just that magic that was out in the universe. And that's one thing that happens as we get older. Like, we forget that we get used to things, It's crazy. When you think about how insane you were about touching a crotch of somebody else, and then how now that's not, it's still an issue, but it's not as much as it used to be. Baffling amount of difference. Thank you so much for that call, man, just to take me down memory lane. I can't even remember if you had a question for me. I don't even know if that was in there. I'll listen back later if so and get back to you, but just fascinating, man. Just fascinating to go back to those days and just that heat. It was like just that body heat coming off just that area of a woman was just fascinating. And I remember one time getting down there and I couldn't tell what was going on. I thought this one girl didn't even have a vagina. I thought she just had a bunch of crazy, skin activity. God, I remember that. Just like, what is going on? Where is this? Very scary and very exciting. Very fun being young, man. Let's take one more call, man. We're gonna switch gears here, and this one is from Walnut Creek, California. Let's go.
Hey, what's up, Theo? My name's Miles, and I was just kind of wondering on how you stay sober.
And man, actually, I know I have some other calls I want to get to more, but I'll try to do some this week. I had a call coming in about sobriety that I do want to answer. But this is already going to be a long episode, and so I just want to take a moment just to say thank you guys so much for being a part of the show, for calling in. We'll field whatever calls this week. I might put into the Thursday episode some ideas for for coming up, for other calls we can get. I already have people that have left some voicemails about the future and questions, and eventually we'll get it to call in, where people can call in and we can talk live, even though I don't even know if I could have dealt live today with these calls today about the crotches. Very fascinating, man. Very fascinating. And I just want to thank you guys so much, man. I love you, and I appreciate you. And yeah, and I got some really nice calls and voicemails, and I really, really appreciate it. And I'm going to get to some of these questions. This one kid called about some sobriety stuff, and I really want to get to it, and I will get to it. So hold on, buddy. I promise that I'll get to it and get it out this week, because I want to share with you whatever I can. Fuck, do I need to get to it right now? Let me get to it right now, because I'm going to feel bad if I don't, if I let this go. Let's get it. This is, this call, it's changing the scope. We've had it's been, whatever. Let's get to it. Here we go. This is from Walnut Creek, California.
Hey, what's up, Theo? My name's Miles, and I was just kind of wondering on how you stay sober. Because I've been taking, some pills here and there, and it's really fun, but, it's, I feel like it's just sort of time to quit. So I was just sort of wondering, advice on how to deal, I guess, with, being sober, because, to be honest, it's really boring, oh my God, spending whole days, the day seems like 2 days in one now. now that I've been sober for a week. And I was just wondering.
That's funny, man. He said being sober is boring. It's I mean, it's sad. That's sad and perfect and everything. Because it is. It is kind of boring, man. It's boring until you're able to start dealing with some of your feelings and what's going on and whatever made you start to, overtreat yourself with medication. Then it gets interesting, dude. It gets interesting, man. When feelings start coming back and you start having feelings, man, like when I'm talking about my mom earlier and I get like teared up, like that didn't used to happen to me, man. Like I wasn't able to access those feelings, dude. When I see like, one of my friends posted a picture of her and her baby. She has a new baby. And I remember like a couple years ago, like telling her like, I almost was going to like, we were almost deciding that we were going to have a baby together, even though like we weren't in love or anything. We just were maybe going to have a baby just because she's getting a little older and we've always been friends and we both wanted I thought she'd make a great mother because she's always been like a great friend. And she has a baby now, dude. And I saw a picture of her, her first Mother's Day or something today. Shit teared me up, dude. So you'll have real feelings, man. That's one thing. That can be exciting, bro. I know it sounds crazy and probably gay but it's exciting, bro. But what was your question? How do I stay sober?
I was just wondering, like, I guess how you deal with it. And I don't know if you've ever, taken pills or anything like that. But, I was just wondering your advice. I like the show and actually just got your album, so keep it up, man.
Wow, man. Thank you for the support. Let me catch your name again. I'm sorry.
Hey, what's up, Theo? My name's Miles.
Miles. Thanks for the support, Miles. I do appreciate it. How do I stay sober, dude? Well, I just decided that I'm not going to drink or use, and I didn't decide that I'm going to do it for the rest of my life because that's a huge undertaking. And I can't do anything for the rest of my life. I can't. First of all, I don't know what the rest of my life is going to be, but I know that I cannot drink or use for today. I know that. And look, a lot of you guys out there are like, well, dude, I drink, I use, that's fine. Look, I have no issue. If you can drink and you can party and you can have a good time and you can live your life and your life's fun and comfortable, that's great. I might be able to do that one day. I don't know. But I do know that for right now, I'm not in that position. So how do I stay sober, man? I listen to people that are more sober than I am. And I try and figure out what my feelings are, because I didn't want to have any feelings. And I'm sure that's why you take pills, dude. Pills, bro. I remember one time I took a pill. Next thing I knew, it was Thursday, bro. And I think when I started, it was Friday. So it was like a long pill, dude. Yeah, I remember one time some dude gave me some Somas. This fellow that was homosexual, and he ended up dying. He drove a Chevy Cavalier into a cement embankment. And he was a boxer. He was a homosexual prize fighter. But he might have even tried to blow me one time when I was on Somas. I don't even remember. So are pills fun? I don't know. I mean, it was definitely fun not having any feelings and like just spitting up on my shirt all night. It was kind of cool. It was like being in the hospital, but I was just in the back of a Chevrolet Blazer. But overall, long term, is it fun? I just don't think it's good. Because I just would love for you to take a chance and see what you're really like if you don't use pills. Just take a chance. Look, dude, if you don't like who you are when you don't use pills, go back to them, bro. But at least give yourself a shot to see who you are. You're out here, if you got issues, man, look, clean them up. You'll be able to clean them up when you're sober. I promise you. It's going to take some time. It's going to be a pain in the ass. You have to sit and think and write and listen to other people. Probably gonna have to cry and listen to some fucking dudes talk in group settings and stuff where you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. But you'll get better. It gets better. I promise you that. And it's fascinating. And it's the ballsiest thing you could do. You want to take a pill? Take a pill of fucking sobriety, bro. Take a pill of, you know what? Whatever life throws at me today, I'm going to look it in the fucking face. You know? Take that pill. That's a pill, bro. You want a pill? You want to ride? You want to ride? Try feeling everything. Try having conversations with people when shit's uncomfortable and you can't resort to anything else. And you have to just tell them how you really feel. Try that. That's a pill, bro. That's a pill, man. But I'm here for you, Miles. If you need me, you can leave another voicemail, a private one on here that I won't use on the episode. And but I don't know how I stay sober, man. You know, I invite a higher power into my life, even though I struggle with that every day. And I don't try to stay sober forever. I'm just trying to stay sober for tomorrow. You know, but it's amazing. I started this podcast in sobriety. Dude, if I was still partying, I don't think I would have been able to do it. I don't know, but I don't think so. And I also don't want to pigeonhole myself, and I don't want to tell you that you need it forever. I don't want to tell you any of those things. I don't want to tell you that AA is a be-all, cure-all, end-all. Because if I'm not sober forever, then people are going to be like, well, it didn't work for him. I don't want to tell you any of that, man. I just want to tell you that I think it's worth a try. You know? And I think it's worth the same amount of effort you put into getting pills or using pills. Just at least give it that same amount of effort. See how it works, you know? It might work well. But I love you, Miles, man. And you know, it sounds like you want to at least try to get, I don't know, better, but you want to try to get different. So just try to get different, man. See how different works. Thank you for calling, bro. I really do appreciate it. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, man. I'm going to take us out of here, man. It's getting late. God, it's so late. This is going to be up late, guys. It's going to be up late because it's already 2 a.m. here. It's 5 a.m. East Coast. It's not going to be there for people on their drive to work. So I'm sorry about that. It's going to take a couple hours to edit. All right, man. But I'm going to take you out here, man. It's been a beautiful time chatting. I hope so. Thank you to our callers. Hit the hotline. You know what it is. Check out my tour dates at theovon.com/tour. And just tell somebody you love them today. Call your mother again today and tell her that you love her. How about that, huh? How about just calling your mother again today and just letting her know you love her? Just let her, hey, Mom, I love you just as much today. I just want to let you know that. I know Mother's Day was yesterday, but there's going to come a day when I might not be able to tell you how much I love you. So today's not that day, and today I'm going to let you know how much I care. Man, we get so caught up, dude. Man, we get so caught up talking to other people. It's hard. It's hard sometimes to listen to our mothers, but I don't know, man. I don't know. And maybe some of you guys don't have the best relationship with your mother, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad or, but I don't either. Sometimes it's hard when my mother says stuff, I don't feel it. But to keep trying, man. We keep trying. So that's all we can do. Just keep trying, man. And love yourself today. And if you don't have a mother, bro, I'll put on a wig and I'll hug you, dude. How about that, dude? We just got to keep it all about, first base only, and that's only on the cheek, That's my motherhood for you. But thank you guys for listening to this past week, and I'll see you guys next time. Be good to yourselves, man. You probably deserve it.